Veteran apartment dealmaker Mark Stern has left his longtime post at Waterton Associates and formed a new real estate investment business with two familiar names from the Chicago private equity world. Stern has teamed up with Avi Stein, the co-founder of Willis Stein, and Eric Becker, co-founder of Sterling Partners, for the new venture, which will focus initially on apartment acquisitions and likely diversify into other sectors down the road. The business will operate as the real estate arm of Crescent Capital Management, a new Chicago firm founded by Stein and Becker that mainly invests money for wealthy clients. Stern, 48, is setting off on his own after nearly 15 years in acquisitions at Waterton, a Chicago-based apartment and hotel investor. He worked on about $3 billion in deals over that time. His biggest, Waterton's $475 million purchase in 2007 of Presidential Towers, the massive apartment complex in the West Loop. At Crescent, Stern is targeting acquisitions in the $50 million to $70 million range, aiming to complete about $300 million in deals in his first year. He said he wants to raise about $100 million in equity to finance the transactions, borrowing the rest. Stern, who started at Crescent on October 9, is already negotiating his first acquisition, a multi-family property in Chicago. Apartments have been one of the hottest real estate sectors for several years now, but finding properties at attractive prices has become harder as money has poured into the market. Still, Stern sees an opportunity in so-called core properties, the best buildings in the best locations, a segment of the market that has fallen out of favor with investors. There's less people chasing core, pricing is backed up, so I think it's a good time, said Stern, a managing director at Crescent. In Chicago, Wolf Point West, a 509-unit tower near the Merchandise Mart that opened last year, would be an example of a core property. The building's developers put it up for sale earlier this year but later took it off the market, unable to get the price they were seeking. Other developers are facing a similar predicament, Stern said. All this new stuff is sitting there, he said. While Waterton primarily bought its apartments through large investment funds, Stern and his partners plan to raise their money from high-net-worth investors and family offices. He plans to focus mainly on acquisitions, with Stein, Becker and Crescent's wealth managers bringing in the equity to finance them. They provide the fundraising, and I provide the expertise and the sourcing of deals, and that's what makes it a good partnership, Stern said. Mark has a fabulous track record of doing acquisitions in the multifamily space, Stein said. We are delighted to have Mark heading up our real estate group, which will focus on long-term ownership of assets in the multifamily space. Stein and Becker have shifted their attention to the wealth management business as they pull back from private equity. Willis Stein, a private equity firm co-founded by Stein in 1994, has been in the process of winding down its investments over the past several years. Sterling, which Becker co-founded in 1983, recently decided not to raise money for another investment fund. At Crescent, Stern expects initially to hire a couple of analysts to work on acquisitions and plans to add another 5 to 10 employees over the next couple of years. I'm hoping to build out a big real estate group, he said. Stern has worked in real estate since his mid-20s. After growing up Glencoe, he graduated from Nutria High School. He attended Colorado College in Colorado Springs, Colorado, taking a year off after graduation to be a ski bum in Jackson Hole, WYO. Stern started out in real estate in 1993 as an appraiser for First Interstate Bank in Los Angeles. In 1995, he moved back to Chicago to work as analyst for RREEF, the big real estate investment firm, before joining Chicago-based apartment investor TVO. Waterton hired him 5 years later.